star in the Second World War and the deaths of over 11 million people, causing one of the most disastrous events in the world that no one will ever be able to forget. Who will be held responsible for this? There is one and only one man that can be blamed for these horrific events.
Adolf Hitler.
When World War I started in 1914, Adolf Hitler volunteered as a soldier for Germany as a 25-year-old. World War I became one of the bloodiest wars in the history of the entire world to that date.
Hitler lasted about 2 years without getting an injury, but his luck ran out and he received a leg wound. After he was released from a German hospital, Adolf was assigned to light duty in Munich, Germany. During his time amongst the German people, the citizens surprised Hitler.
They were indifferent about the war. Some were even against it. This he blamed on the Jews. Hitler held the Jewish people responsible for the lack of support for the war. This hatred Hitler had developed for the Jews was associated with the defeat of Germany. He blamed the politicians in Germany for this loss as well. Adolf Hitler was obsessed with hating these people.
After the Treaty of Versailles was signed, Hitler had his fuel for his fire. The peace treaty was hated by Germany. The main points of this treaty held Germany responsible for the entire war, and that it had to pay its enemy countries to cover most of the damage caused. Germany had to give up country not its own, and all of its colonies were given to either France or Britain. Germany could never again annex Austria or any other surrounding countries. Lastly, Germany was only allowed an army of 100,000 soldiers to defend itself.
Hitler joined the German Workers' Party in 1919, the very year the treaty was signed.
This party was the prototype for the infamous Nazi Party. When Hitler first joined this party, it was extremely small. To gain publicity, this party published invitations and notices in an anti-Semitic newspaper.
Hitler's party slowly began to become more popular. His first time speaking to a large crowd was October 16, 1919. He delivered this speech to a group of over 100 people.
The German Workers' Party was soon replaced with the National Socialist Party, Nazi for short. The goals of this party were outlined by Hitler in the 25 points.
These goals helped Hitler gain more attention in the political radar in Germany.
Some of his stated goals were to get rid of the Treaty of Versailles, eliminate Jews from Germany, and that all unearned money should be abolished. The Nazi Party was now formed.
The party itself was a system of prejudices. It was built on several ideas, including social Darwinism, meaning only the strong survive. The Nazi Party wanted Germany to be the strong, and they said the Jews were weakening the nation. Nazism built on extreme nationalism in support of Germany and only Germany. It was a respected idea by Germany that the Aryan race was superior compared to all others. The Nazis believed in racial hygiene.
This means the Nazis wanted to clean out Germany or get rid of all the undesired people in the German population. Some of these undesirables were Jews, gypsies, and handicapped people. In the year 1920, it had a total of 3,000 members. To ensure the knowledge of his party, Hitler had propaganda posters spread in towns and German cities. Some of these propaganda posters said things like, before, unemployment, hopelessness, desolation, strikes, lockouts. Today, work, joy, discipline, camaraderie, give the Fuhrer your vote, or long live Germany. Others completely discriminated the Jews.
The Nazi Party had its setbacks, though. Beginning April 1st, 1924, Hitler was imprisoned and jailed for committing treason. He was imprisoned for his acts at the Putsch beer hall. Adolf Hitler tried to capture Bavarian by force, and it looked as if he might succeed. Hitler captured Bavarian leaders and forced them to be loyal to the Nazi Party and himself. But before he could do anything else, he and the people with him were caught and sent to court.
This act was punishable for a lifelong jail sentence, but Hitler was sentenced to serve only 5 years in prison. In the end, though, he spent 6 months in prison and was then put on parole. While in jail, Hitler wrote his own autobiography. It was titled Mein Kampf, or My Struggles. Once he was released from prison, Hitler returned to the political scene.
Today we're here with an anonymous Hitler Youth participant who is sharing her experience with us. Now to Megan with the interview.
When you were young, what things did you notice connecting to the Nazis and Hitler?
I remember when Hitler was trying to gain popularity in Germany. He was very clever in creating the common enemies. He turned German citizens, like my parents, away from their Jewish neighbors. My father said I was no longer allowed to speak with my best friend.
How did the changes in Germany impact your family life?
When I grew older, I noticed more of the discussions my parents had. My father spoke of how Germany was in ruins because of our leaders. You see, Hitler blamed the depression in Germany entirely on the leaders of the nation. Hitler said they humiliated the German nation by agreeing to the Treaty of Versailles. He was constantly picking on the fact that the Weimar Republic wasn't a real country. It was one created as a result of the Treaty of Versailles, one created because of a meaningless agreement.
When you were enrolled in the Hitler Youth, how did it change your everyday life?
My views began to change. I was no longer concerned when the people of my neighborhood suddenly disappeared. It had since become normal, an everyday occurrence. During the years before Hitler became Chancellor, not everyone was a member of the youth, but I was, and I was proud of it. We did activities with bayonets and digging trenches. My favorite was map reading, and I was the best at it in my group. I recall the lectures we went through about dirty Jews and how as Germans, Jews were lower than us. I regret what I did to one of the Jewish students that used to go to my school. We punched them and kicked them, and we believed that we were doing justice in the world. As a 10-year-old, I believed that it was right to beat others because my Führer said so. I can still remember the day I transferred to the oldest branch of the Hitler Youth. The entire community was there, and I felt such a surge of pride in my country.
We'll return soon after a quick word from our sponsors.
Freeze! Have you ever gotten a cut and you didn't know what to do with the dripping blood?
Oh.
Have you ever gotten your arm chopped off while fighting in a war? Have you ever thought, gee, what am I to do? I don't want the dripping blood to get on my clothes.
Jay, what am I to do? I don't want the blood to get on my clothes.
Well, now you don't have to worry about that. Ever since we have created the new Band-Aid from the brand Band-Aid, you will never have to worry about that again. You just take the Band-Aid, wrap it on your now overflowing bloody cut, and it'll be all better.
All better.
If your Band-Aid is too small for your cut, or you're now stuck with an arm, all you have to do is get another Band-Aid.
Oh, it's brilliant. But it's stuck.
That is your problem now. Band-Aid production is not responsible for any Band-Aid stuck in your arm stump, massive cut, leg stump, crack in your skull, or your Barbie's foot. We're not responsible for any allergic reactions to the suspicious things we put in our Band-Aids, nor is allowed to ask what we put in our Band-Aids if you recharge as treason. We suggest that you buy Band-Aids at Walmart, Kmart, Target, or your local convenience store for good quality. We suggest Walmart for best quality. If you have any questions or concerns, don't call us at any number listed below. No refunds or returns.
It's bloody brilliant. Huzzah! It's back.
Welcome back to the Rise of Hitler production. We begin.
Germany was soon in a depression. The value of money went down quickly, and the German people could not afford everything that they used to be able to before the war. The loss of value in money is because the Germans were having to pay off war debt issued to them by terms in the Treaty of Versailles.
America offered to give loans to Germany, but soon Germany failed to pay back its debt. The Nazi Party said that they would fix the German financial crisis, so many more people joined them. From the years 1928 to 1933, the number of people supporting Hitler's idea went up by 2,133%.
These numbers increasingly grew in the years before Hitler became Chancellor in 1933. The Nazi Party members were often ex-soldiers from World War I. They were often unadjusted and uncomfortable about the Treaty of Versailles. They were not resolved with the peace treaty. It brought feelings of discontent to the veterans.
Additionally, they did not trust the leaders of the German Republic. This was very rare in Germany. The very nation was characterized for its loyalty and belief in its leaders. These soldiers did not like how their leaders accepted the peace treaty, so they stopped supporting them and followed a new party. The veterans were part of the reason why the Nazi Party grew so quickly. It was a party of new ideals that would bring Germany above all other countries. The next German generation would be the future of the entire world.
Hitler was a very gifted speaker. He created a mood from his speeches that was transferred to the people listening. Hitler was very effective when he spoke and can also be credited for the high membership and support of the Nazi Party. He said that the Nazi Party could reconstruct Germany to its former greatness.
In the early 1920s, Hitler soon began to build his own army, called the Stormtroopers. Those soldiers were all loyal to Hitler and were a symbol of growing Nazi Party's strength, unity, and popularity. These people were usually lower class and were created to replace the small German military.
Hitler also had other forms of protection. He had a group called the SS who acted as bodyguards to Nazi leaders, including Hitler. As time went on, the SS became a terror squad. They are also responsible for most of the genocide during the Holocaust.
The Gestapo completed his army. The Gestapo were Hitler's secret police, and so no one knew who they were. They spread fear through the land because you really couldn't trust anyone but yourself.
Your own family could be a member of the Gestapo, and if you spoke out against Hitler or the Nazi Party, you would be arrested. Jews and other undesirables, such as gypsies, would be arrested by Gestapo, as well as the political opponents of Hitler. With the stormtroopers, SS, and the Gestapo, Hitler had a perfect army.
In 1933, the Reich president, Paul von Hindenburg, appointed Adolf Hitler as Reich Chancellor. His other opponents had been terrorized by the Nazis in the time of the election campaign. There were mixed emotions about Hitler's appointment. Some were on edge and worried, others weren't concerned at all.
After Hitler tried to take over Bavaria by force and he ended up in prison, he started playing by the rules. When Hitler ran for chancellor, he won fair and square. Hitler and the Nazi Party were becoming popular and more noticed. The people of Germany elected Hitler, and then the current president, Hindenburg, appointed him.
During the early days of his chancellorship, Hitler got the Republic to approve of a decree. This decree gave the Reich Chancellor nearly unrestricted power and made him an unofficial dictator.
Hitler was now at the top of his rise. He will continue to get Nazi support from Germans until the end of the war. But by the time World War II ended, he was no longer the good leader that they thought he was.